Hello everyone. Alright, let's do some Forbidden Battleground. And appropriately enough, we start the first Battleground here with the easy mode challenge, which is Legion of Glory. I mean, what is there to say left to say about Legion of Glory? It's just such an easy team to build, even if you're restricting yourself to just freebies and SR units. And being that there's a couple of threats on this map, but they're all flyers, so they're pretty easy to take out using Narm. And then there's a couple Lancers, so I brought Highland Warriors on Chris so I can kill them faster. Aside from that, I don't think there's too much to worry about. The one summoner that summons the skeletons over and over can be very annoying, because anytime the skeleton hits you, your stats go down, and it's permanent for the rest of the map. So maybe not on this map, but some of the later maps, these skeletons are going to get really annoying. But for now, I don't need to worry too much. So as you can see, I have a Grenier on Archer class here. I just had him on this class, so I just kept him that way. And it works just as well because there are some infantry units around. So most notably the one skeleton with the infantry troops. So it's nice that Grenier can take neutral damage from everything while he's on his Archer class. The other thing that actually makes it kind of nice is that Grenier will be the target of things like the tentacle attacks from the squids, because he's a ranged unit, and the AI from melee units like the cuttlefish, they tend to prioritize attacking ranged units or just helpless units, and because Grenier is on Archer class, the game just thinks he is a squishy unit that they can pull away. But of course, that makes things easier because Grenier, of course, has plenty of defense, plenty of HP, and he's usually sandwiched between a bunch of other units, so he can't actually get pulled away. Otherwise, there's not much other than to just take these enemies out. The phlegm death attack from the cuttlefish is pretty annoying because it gives a buff block. So these skeletons that lower your stats, they actually do explode when they die within 2 blocks, which also lowers your stats. So of course it's preferable to just snipe them with an ruler's bow or something, which is exactly what I just did. So as you can see, I've actually upgraded Grenier's helm here. I'm all ready for his SP to come out. And you can see his counter damage is pretty decent. Yeah, so here's one of the annoying things about these Forbidden Battleground maps, is that they do have a lot of annoying debuffs that come from enemies after they die. Or they have things like movement down auras that just makes your life harder than it needs to be. But as you can see, I didn't really have too much trouble with this fight. Okay, so you can see just now the skeleton used Roar or whatever. He actually dispelled Grenier's conversion. This is one of the reasons that I feel like Grenier is still such a pain to use. So many of the other tanks have gotten undispellable conversion skills, and this is a problem with Grenier that still isn't going to be fixed after he gets his SP class. And I feel like it's a pretty big oversight. Right. One thing that is kind of annoying about this skeleton is because he has infantry troops out front, so you can't just instantly kill them with whole units, as often you can do with undead enemies in PvE. Anyway, the Glory Challenge was pretty simple, so let's just take a look at the Empire Challenge here. So, I try to avoid using collab units as usual. And, you know, I'm going to end up using some collab units in the later maps, but for now, Empire, I can use a full SR team here without any collab units, and I'm using the legendary Lance. So he's just here to faction buff and give attack command mostly. And I really want to get rid of this, the Harpy as early as I can, because the Harpy has this very annoying draw-in skill. And, you know, it just adds a bunch of unpredictability to the map. Because he might teleport you in and then place your tank on the wrong spot, which just makes things a headache. It's less of a concern with Vargas, because Vargas has a 3-block guard. But I still prefer to take him out if I can. So as you can see, I've brought the giant zombie soldiers on Vargas. They're not very tanky in terms of their bonuses, because they actually have, their bonuses are all offensive. They have attack and crit rate. But what makes them really nice, even as a tanking option, is that similar to werewolves, they will heal HP after each battle. And that really helps with the longevity of Vargas. And honestly, at 100% life, it's not like Vargas had a ton of very strong tanky options anyway, because one of his best tanking troops is actually Stone Colossus, which doesn't get any bonus until they're under 70% life. So when zombies are getting hit at 100% life, they're not really any worse off than Stone Colossus in that regard. And in fact, they might be slightly better, because Stone Colossus have, or not Stone Colossus, but zombies are demons. And demons have very powerful attacks. So they do get a fair bit of bonus defense from those attacks. Plus the fact that demons have 10% more stats, just in general. So you can see that even though the zombies are an offensive troop, they're not doing too bad at the whole tanking thing. And as an added bonus, I also get a bit more counter damage. So just checking my options here. So I brought Forget on Egbert, because Forget is actually very useful on these maps. There's a lot of very annoying passives all over the place here. So not only is Forget going to disable the stat down abilities on the skeletons, it's also going to disable some of the passive guards that these units have. it's going to disable the heal blocks that the gargoyle randomly gives out. It would also disable the shield that the skeleton with the infantries give, but as you saw, like, I wasn't able to reach him. Egbert does have a very nice attack range with his AoEs after he gets hit, thanks to his exclusive, which I actually only have at level 20. You know, I just decided not to spend the ore to get the spirits for it. So unfortunately, that's a newly summoned one, so he's gonna lower Vargas' stats here. So even though the Empire PvE team is significantly weaker than the Glory one, at least as far as SRs go, but the strategy really breaks down to being about the same here. It's really just about me outlasting the opponent, which is really not that hard because Vargas is just such an amazing tank. So here comes Heinz 3C here. It just makes things a little bit easier, and fixed damage in general is very useful in PvE, so Egbert's doing a lot of heavy lifting here. So as you can see, the enemies are getting pretty sparse here. I don't need to worry too much about them. I shouldn't have any trouble taking them out. Alright. Go with Vargas' guard again. And I mentioned earlier how Grenier can still get his conversion dispelled, but that is not a problem with Vargas. In fact, Vargas, I believe his 3 range guard is also not dispellable. Alright, so throwing a forget out here. And since I passive blocked the skeleton, he doesn't put up the shield. He has this passive that makes every enemy take, what's it, like 80% less damage if he gets hit. So if I disable his passives with forget like that, then he won't do that, and I can just hit him freely. Egbert almost dying there. You know, it's a whole unit hitting onto his undead soldier, so not too big of a surprise. Right. So as you can see, like, Egbert is just very valuable in PvE maps like this, where you just have a lot of nukes to fight. The fixed damage is really, really strong. It's not so good on bosses because they have such crazy inflated stats, but you're going to see me do this in a lot of the other clears too. I'm going to use quite a few fixed damage characters. So yeah, that's the first Battleground for this run. I'll see you in the next one.